Hey Leo, Ali from Indigo Ascension. Welcome to your Eclipse Transition Series reading. This is something a little bit different that I wanted to do for all of the Zodiacs. Now, you know, if you've been following astrology, if you've been following the channel, last year was definitely a crossroads year in many ways, okay? So 2020 saw, and I guess with this rapid awakening, with this increase in awakening within the collective, many are becoming more aware of the energies that are felt and experienced thanks to retrogrades. So, you know, planetary retrogrades happen all of the time, every year. Eclipses happen all of the time. But the more awakened we are as empaths, the more we're going to be connecting into the influences this has on our subconscious self, our higher self trying to communicate with us. So I really wanted to take a look at the energies of the eclipses in recent years to help us better understand last year as a transition year. And it can also help many in the collective understand why they're perhaps feeling like there's a holding pattern in many ways. The reason I'm doing this is because it's definitely connected into all of this movement into Aquarius, into this age of Aquarius. So it's a great time to really look at the purpose of what all that might mean when it comes to cosmic influences for us. And it can help us all better understand the healing journeys and transformation journeys we have been on. So I'm just condensing it down to the last few ecliptical cycles. So rewind the clock back to 2017. The Crossroads last year was coming out of the Cancer Capricorn ecliptical cycle into the Gemini Sagittarius cycle, which is where we're currently at. Now, at the end of this year, the North Node shifts into Taurus, so we will launch a new Taurus Scorpio ecliptical cycle, okay? And how this ties into the larger retrograde cycles that have been happening, how this ties into this big move into Aquarius, can help us all understand why many, like I said, feel like we're in perhaps a bit of a holding pattern. And, you know, as human beings, we're all very familiar with that one step forward, two steps back when it comes to change and implementing change. But by all means, you know, I want to take you guys back to the end of 2017. Now, you were transiting, so with Cancer Capricorn ecliptical cycle for 2 years between 2018 into 2020, you guys were doing 12th and 6th house transits. So it's not easy, and maybe perhaps in many ways. Rewind the clock back to 2018, even to the end of 2017 into 2018, all the way through to 2020 as far as a journey, okay? So 12th and 6th house, like I said, it's not easy energy. There certainly would have been 12th house energies at play where we can be at our own undoing. It is the work of spirit, it is the work of higher self, the subconscious, and it is also in that same space that we connect with our deeper drives, deeper fears, if you like. The 6th house rules our day-to-day, our health, our service work. How is our higher self trying to guide us in our day-to-day, whether it be through challenges, whether it be through our realities. So in many ways, rewind the clock back to the end of 2017 into 2020, as far as a deeper story, as far as 12th house and 6th house matters. You know, it's very much looking, and many Leos may have found their roles completely changing, or a deeper need to get out of the old role you have always played, is what I do want to say. Look, like maybe there were health issues that made you really look at, you know, is this daily environment, this work environment, this home environment good for me? You may have noticed a massive increase in psychic connection to dream state, or at least a more apparent understanding of the way in which the subconscious can drive us, okay? Looking at identifying subconscious fears that we perhaps sort of had to awaken to through not just these eclipses, but through retrograde cycles. So again, use that time, use this opportunity to really rewind the clock and see how far you've come as far as who you were at the end of 2017, what was going on for you, and how that was ultimately being eclipsed, and really looking at your day-to-day experience as far as what you wanted for self moving forward. Not long after, which kicked off last year, which represents the ecliptical cycle we are currently in, is the Gemini Sagittarius one. There was an immediate focus as far as destiny, forward movement, who you will be moving forward. More importantly, the role you would be playing in other people's lives compared to the role you have always played. Okay, and when I work with 11th house transits, my role could completely shift, like going from one career to another one, especially after coming out of 6th house placements the year prior, the 2 years prior, I should say. Becoming a parent, becoming a grandparent. A new role has redefined sort of what you were looking for in the realms of self. Now, 11th house and 5th house transits will always ask us, you know, am I enjoying life? What does joy mean to me? Maybe like, because when I'm working with 11th and 5th house, which is what Gemini and Sagittarius, you know, are bringing you, Leo, as they lead the north and south nodes respectively. The 5th house is all about creativity, fun, romance, children, joy. You know, this is the realms of life and self where we ask ourselves how long has it been since I've had fun? Maybe as this ecliptical cycle kicked off, along with a very big highlight on your role moving forward and your desire to change your role. Maybe it was inspired because of the birth of a child. Maybe it was inspired because you got completely fed up that life had just been so deep and like transforming and having to deal with day-to-day drudgery. Like, I'm just looking at the 12th and 6th house shadows, that you were just like, God, things need to change, you know? I need to change so that life can change. For many, you know, 11th house transits rules interconnectivity, like our role as a daughter, as a mother, as a father, as a brother, as a nephew, as a, you know, like we were really looking at the way in which our connections, when I'm activating 11th house energies, I'm really looking at the roles I've always played compared to the role I desire to play. What creative change needs to happen in that regard? Where can I infuse joy in that role compared to what has been? There's been this very big focus on what makes me happy, Leo, thanks to the 11th and 5th house transits. And you've really still got till the end of this year to really embrace what that means, you know, like your role moving forward and the role you have always played versus the role you desire to play in the important connections within your life. And this really big focus on creativity and fun and childlike essence. And, you know, life is not all drudgery and hard work and stress. Like, we deserve to have those moments that ultimately replenish the soul and the heart. And just finding time to laugh, you know. And if you've still sort of been transiting old ecliptical cycles and not really connecting into this, you're going to be feeling an immense bottleneck energy, okay? So if you know in yourself that since halfway through last year, there's been this desire to have more fun, to connect into creative pursuits, to connect into more childlike joy, to redefine your role and how other people sort of like, because you know, when I'm not addressing it and destiny is calling, then I'm going to notice the pressure build on some level internally. So, you know, it is in these times when we experience a condensed energy in Aquarius, which is all about the higher view, disconnection from emotions, especially with this square energy, thanks to Mars and Taurus. And, you know, we're going to really want to unleash, if we haven't been working with the retrogrades, we haven't been working with the ecliptical cycles. It is in these moments that we react under these skies, and we're feeling less empowered, and we're at the mercy of our emotions and our fears and whatever the case may be. So take that as it resonates, Leo. But for many of you, since the 11th house and 5th house transits kicked off, thanks to the Gemini and Sagittarius ecliptical cycle halfway through last year, which is the one that we're currently in, there has been this massive focus, Leo, on your creative self, on your childhood, on your children, desiring to spend more time with children. And sure, you know, once everything went into lockdown last year, many of us did find ourselves at home connecting into our loved ones, maybe on very practical levels under the guise of, you know, the North Node being in Gemini impacting your 11th house, your role literally did change. You were doing a certain role and then you found yourself doing a new role. Maybe that's still playing out in many ways and you're finding that you're liking that, and this new role, this new career path, this new way you do that parenting thing, or whatever the case may be, you might be enjoying it and getting a lot more out of it. Okay, so it's also been a beautiful time for Leos to really connect into old romance and romancing themselves through life again. Doesn't matter if you've been single and you're ready to date again, that's applicable, or if you've been in long-standing connections, really identifying what romance means. But for many Leos, you know, sun, moon, rising, you know, you're probably 99% likely to have switched up the role you play in one way or another, whether it is career or being recognized more for the role you play. Notice a desire, or have noticed some, you know, increase in desire for more fun in your life. Again, rewind the clock back to 2017 into 2020 as far as comparing stress versus laughter, peace of mind rather than feeling stressed every day. Yeah, is a very loose way to look at the energy of that. I also want to take a look at your tarot cards and your oracle cards, my dear, as far as where you've come from, where you're going. Now, I also want to focus on the Taurus eclipse that happens in November this year, because we are still in the Gemini one, okay? The Gemini Sagittarius one, which takes us through, and then it is November the 19th, there's a Taurus eclipse, which is launching the new ecliptical cycle. So again, if you haven't sort of dedicated clear boundary lines around, you know, activating creative energy again, connecting into romance, joy, fun, really identifying boundaries and new structures that need to be put in place as far as 11th house energies, and your interconnectivity to the connections around you and the role you play. You know, if you want to change there, you know, this is the perfect opportunity to do that, because once 10th house energy kicks off, which is what Taurus kicks off for you, there's going to be this working with recognition. Okay, there's amazing career opportunities that happen when the 10th house show up. You know, so if you're not loving your career, what is it that you want to change about it? Where can you infuse more fun and joy and keep connected? Where can you completely change things up so that your career is exactly where you want it to be, albeit in a different industry perhaps by next year or in the 2 years, you know, and sometimes that means upskilling, sometimes that means going back to university or studies or whatever the case may be, so that in the next 3 years you see yourself entering, you know, you're making gains towards where you would like to be, working with 10th house energies. It's all about success and recognition. So it's also a beautiful opportunity to pat yourself on the back too, Leo, as far as how far you have come in the years since 2017, when you were doing that deep, you know, metamorphosis, 12th house energy stuff, leading the North Node, as well as 6th house stuff. How you feel about self, your life, your opportunities, your goals, your dreams, your creativity has shifted. You know, for artists, that's like creative blocks. Focus too much on the day-to-day stresses, if you like, and where you can actually be recognized next year for the creative endeavors and work you've been doing in the 2 years of this current ecliptical cycle. Yeah, so there's a lot there that many Leos, doesn't matter who you are, what you do, as far as recognition, success kicking off for you guys next year. Okay, so let's go back. Like I said, 2018 into 2020 was all about a lot of healing for you guys, and perhaps on the daily it was about just desiring peace. Maybe it was quite chaotic. Maybe there were a lot of you know, things going on in your life where communication may not have been happening, where healing was needing to happen. Maybe you literally, like for some Leos, you may have used that 2-year ecliptical period while you were transiting 12th house and 6th house energies under Cancer, Capricorn ecliptical cycles. You were doing a lot of deep healing. Okay, there was this preparation or preparedness in the lead up to Aquarius taking, you know, predominance in the skies, which is, you know, we're all working with this age of Aquarius energy now. Maybe you had identified at some point between 2017 into 2020, you know what, I am only going to invest in those things that are healing, those things that are cosmically and spiritually aligned to me, those things that feel like peace. I am not drawn to stress, I'm not drawn to drama, I have had enough. All right, it was a beautiful opportunity to refine communication skills, to heal communication, miscommunication. It was a beautiful opportunity to really sort of get practical with your spiritual connection as an empath, and you know, really look at emotional maturity, emotional mastery, along with your spiritual upgrades that you may have been experiencing. There was this deeper desire to get clarity within the mind, and when we're working with 12th house energies, Leo, that doesn't always happen easily. So it would have taken some time, but I'm going to say on very practical levels, this is an individual working with these two card themes. Like I said, in amongst 12th and 6th house themes, it's very much like, I'm leaving the drama for the Karens. This is, you know, this is my time to just, I will only sort of create spaces that feel like peace. I'm only going to work in places that feel like peace. There was a lot of healing here of the thought body for many of you, okay? And when we're doing 12th house subconscious stuff, it is about really getting clear on what our subconscious drives are. Where do our thoughts come from? Where do our fears come from? How have we been patterned when it comes to any number of those things? The current ecliptical cycle in many ways will feel like a bottleneck energy. At least you can get very practical about the ways in which you have made yourself the prisoner of your own mind. This might be a bigger story for some Leos out there, going back the last 6 to 8 years, is what I do want to say. There's a bigger story at play when it comes to self-sufficiency and your definitions. Doesn't matter what zodiac, you know, we are, like your unique definitions when it comes to security. I could be connecting in with many Leos that are already connecting in with this new ecliptical cycle that is coming through and will be kicking off in November this year for you guys for the next 2 years. This is about self-sufficiency. Where has the role you have played got in the way of what you desired for self when it comes to self-sufficiency, success, groundedness, practicality? The Queen of Coins is very much, you know, she's got everything for everyone, you know. She isn't just the nurturer, her love is very, very practical. But where did you sort of become a prisoner of your own minds and found that you had to play that role? You guys will be activating, currently are activating 11th house themes. How have you sort of felt trapped in your role as the Queen of Pentacles? How have you felt trapped, Leo, without having this Queen of Pentacles energy in your life, is what I do want to say. You are activating 11th and 5th house energy. So when I'm seeing the 8 of Swords, I'm not having much fun at all. So again, what I was saying earlier, there could potentially be a lot of Leos that I'm connecting into that will be experiencing this bottleneck energy, this rising pressure, because you haven't identified times for fun. Maybe you have been focused so much on work and material building, security, okay, because you did a lot of healing in the prior 2 years and it sort of disconnected you from your daily routine, or your daily routine was too hectic, whatever the case may be. Maybe I'm connecting to many Leos that are still trapped in 6th house energies of the old ecliptical cycle, that day-to-day routine, and you're still sort of focused on this stuff. Whereas, you know, the one you're currently in is about fun and is about romance and joy. So if you're noticing any inner pressures, inner frustrations, it is because you haven't perhaps activated and allowed 5th house and 11th house energies to play out for you the way the cosmos is sort of pushing and really encouraging you. Interesting where you've come from, where you are heading, and this could be thanks to this bottleneck of pressure again. What does freedom mean to you? Maybe you are still stuck in an old ecliptical cycle, building wealth, building security, with old definitions around that, and that is your definition of freedom, okay? So, but where you've come from is this purpose card. So that tells me that those of you who are really activating 12th and 6th house energies in recent years, since 2017 into 2020, you have made and connected, you have made a higher ground as far as understanding and connecting the dots of a greater purpose to your story to date. That thing happened exactly how it needed to. Those things have happened exactly as it needed to, Leo, to get you to here. You're starting to begin to see the purpose of it all in many ways. And maybe, you know, I'm going to say, if you are sort of still in this energy, there is a purpose to this, and freedom is sort of calling you as far as desiring to connect into 5th house energies is where I want to say what I want to say. The freedom card represents where you currently are and where you are heading. So your desire for freedom will be felt increasingly if you are not allowing yourself that creative release, that access to romance, joy, fun, outside of things that make you feel like you should be doing something, is what I do want to say. And this is like, I'm getting like an all work and no play kind of energy in many ways. So I also want to take a look at the energies we are moving into now. You are going to be activating 10th house energies, Leo, which is all about career recognition, success, okay? You've got the strength card here, which is you. Now, what if I'm connecting to many Leos that in the years previous, you've been re-establishing this new role to self, you've been infusing this energy of creativity and childlike essence and fun and romance. You've done a lot of deep cathartic healing thanks to 12th house and 6th house placements, and really addressed your daily routine and what you need as far as sustenance. The energies you want to surround yourself in, the connections you want to have, the career paths that are ultimately going to make you or help you redefine this new version of self. And what if underneath all of that, the role you've always played, okay, there needed to be some healing to get out of being a prisoner of your own mind, to get out of these old roles you have always played for other people, probably this Queen of Pentacles energy, where your love was always practical, the giver, the provider, the, you know, where you are heading. On some level is going to take some Leos an aspect of strength and courage and self-confidence. But you know what, Leo? This is your card. Where is it that last August you had to bite the bullet? Where is it that before this August 2021, you know that you're going to have to embrace courage on some level? Okay? You could literally do your day-to-day routine and just sort of mellow along and mosey along rather, and experience anxiety, experience a knowing that something has to shift, but I'm not ready to do anything about it. And then we reach, that's what I'm feeling primarily from a lot of the Leos I'm picking up on. And then we reach this bottleneck energy where in August this year, just before that November eclipse transitions over, there's going to be a bite the bullet. So this could be many Leos working early with the transits, okay? So by August, you're noticing a desire to sort of level up, look at promotions, look at new career paths, do that thing you've always wanted to do, take it however it resonates, okay? If you find yourself in patterning, in relationship dynamics, in roles that you've always played and you're wanting change, like this year in the lead up to August, so we're in February now, is going to require you to encourage, like to embrace the confidence that you are. And trust me, it is going to always lead to this. So this year in many ways is asking you, what does happiness mean to you? And have you infused that in your day-to-day? Are you happy playing the role you're playing in all of your connections? Are you happy playing, you know, the role you're playing within your career? What does creative expression mean for you? What does childlike joy, romance mean for you? Are you happy? Okay? And how can you remove yourself from old paradigms, thought that ultimately keep you a prisoner in old realities, is what I do want to say, Leo, because where you are heading is towards freedom, towards a stronger connection to purpose, your life purpose. You are moving towards peace. Remember the wisdoms and lessons you deeply integrated across 2018 into 2020, because you can then ground it down into this Queen of Pentacles energy. You know, this is the businesswoman, this is the successful career person. You know, the Queen of Pentacles, she's very practical in her giving, and sometimes we need to embrace courage in order to identify what practical means too, what success means, what this newfound experience of freedom means, what happiness means. And if it's different to the routine we're currently in and the roles we've played in other people's lives to date, then therein lies our choice to change. But powerful developments as far as all of those things in the lead up to August this year. And like I said, November this year kicks off a powerful 2-year cycle of your 10th house being in your North Node. The North Node leading, you know, your 10th house, activating your 10th house, which is all about recognition, career, success, okay? Being recognized for who you are. Alrighty, Leo, that was your eclipse transition reading. I do hope you got something out of that. It does sort of span those years between 2018 into 2023. However, it can help us understand how ecliptical cycles work and how there's this deeper transformation story at play for many of the zodiacs, for sure, outside of retrogrades, outside of shifting us into this age of Aquarius, okay? And no doubt you guys are doing a lot of shadow work with all of that Aquarius, you know, placement within the opposite end of your chart, okay? So 11th house, 5th house stuff is really going to come to that bottleneck energy where you're really looking at the role you play in other people's lives, and the one you choose to play moving forward or desire to play moving forward. More importantly, are you happy? Are you having fun? Okay, and how do we connect into that energy again? Because we deserve it. All right, Leo? Until next time. Oh, until next time. There's not going to be a next time on these eclipses. Hope you got something out of that. If you would like to book a personal reading with me, you can find those details in the description box below. By all means, follow my Facebook page and my Instagram, where you'll also see some great content there for empaths, intuitives, and sensitives. And don't forget to keep up to date with the weekly quick reads for all zodiacs on Insta and YouTube. Okay, take care, Leo.